Okay, people, what's up? Happy Monday. Monday after the weekend, after Whyte versus Povetkin. Monday after Whyte versus Povetkin, where where we seen probably one of the best left uppercuts you'll ever see, and we definitely seen knockout of the year. I think that goes without saying. We saw knockout of the year over the weekend. It was crazy. This episode, what episode is this now? Actually, episode 6 of Let's Talk About Boxing. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about in this stream. Want to keep this stream ideally under an hour, because it's after 10. I don't want to go too far past 11 because I've had such a long day today that I've just finished recording a couple of videos for tomorrow. That I want to talk to you guys, see what your thoughts are on the aftermath of Povetkin and Whyte, amongst other things in boxing, because there is things to talk about as well. It's fights on this week. Talk about that, and yeah, just get your 2 cents on what happened over the weekend. Eddie Hearn, I think he's been saying that he wants to get, like, pretty much Dylan Whyte's been saying ever since he got knocked out, he wants to get this rematch. So he wants to rematch Povetkin. He thinks he'll win. Thinks he'll knock him out, etc., etc., etc. I think Eddie Hearn was saying that, yeah, the rematch is going to happen. He wants it for the end of November, is what he's saying here. People, we're talking the end of November. So what month are we? We're in August now. So the end of November. We're talking what? My math's off. What, 3 months? 90 days removed? People, I don't think that's a good idea at all. Got a video planned tomorrow about, what I think is going to happen with Whyte Povetkin. I think, people, 3 months, I think that's way, way, way too soon to be having the rematch with Povetkin. I think it's going to take him 3, 4, maybe even more months, maybe 5 months to get, fully recovered from that. Seriously, it's going to take him a couple of months to get recovered from that knockout. Dylan Whyte, his punch resistance. 10 people in the chat, smash the like button. How's everyone's evening going? How's everyone's day going? People, it's going to take Whyte a couple of months. It's going to take him longer than 3 months to get over that knockout. Povetkin, I think that quick turnaround probably favors Povetkin more than it's going to favor Dylan Whyte. Well, that's just what I'm thinking. I was on Dell's stream earlier, and he feels the same. I think he's spot on. I think that's going to favor Povetkin more, that short turnaround. I mean, Povetkin, yeah, he was dropped twice. Yeah, he took some jabs. But, like, yeah, he didn't look razor sharp in that fight. But he didn't look, I suppose, he wasn't taking a beat. That's the best way to describe it. He wasn't taking an absolute Hail Mary beating. He took a couple of right hands, took a couple of left hooks. But he didn't take a beating in that fight. Now, you'd say the same about Dylan Whyte. But he took an absolute mother of an uppercut. He was knocked out, damn near out cold. He fell flat out the ring nearly. He's going to need a couple of months to get over that knockout. I'm telling you now, if this fight really does happen in November, like Eddie Hearn is saying, end of November, start of December, mate, I'm going and I am putting money on Dylan Whyte to lose that fight. Probably get stopped again. Seriously, what's Big Dan got to say? I'm picking Povetkin if he fights Whyte 2020. Exactly. Be interested to know what everyone in the chat thinks. Who do you think will win the rematch? I'm agreeing with you, Big Dan. And I think, you know what, right? And I keep saying this. Dylan Whyte versus Povetkin. This isn't like Joshua against Ruiz. This is Dylan Whyte going in there against the guy who's knocked him out badly. But bear this in mind. Povetkin, as well as Dylan Whyte, knows one shot. If he lands one good shot, like a really good uppercut or a really good left hook, he can knock Dylan Whyte out in one shot. Povetkin knows that. Dylan Whyte knows that. That's going to give not only Povetkin more confidence, but that's going to give Dylan Whyte a certain level of doubt in himself. Seriously, you get knocked out by one shot like that, it's not going to be good. It's not, and especially if you're getting in there so soon after that knockout. I mean, I'm telling you now, put it like this, right? People, when Amir Khan got knocked out badly against Canelo, and obviously that was a way worse knockout than this, but 2 years after the fact, we people still saying against Phil LaGreco, geez, Amir Khan, the minute that chin gets touched, and obviously Amir Khan's chinny, but we're like, that knockout was so bad. The minute that chin gets touched, how is he going to cope? How is he going to get on? We've seen it with people who've got knocked out badly. I mean, look at Chisora. It's a good example. Look at Chisora when he fought David Haye and he got knocked out by David Haye. Chisora hadn't been ironed out like that before. He'd been durable. He'd been in there against guys like Klitschko. He'd been durable and all that. And like he was still durable after it, don't get me wrong. But was it Edmund Gerber he fought after that? I think it was a couple of fights after that. But he fought that guy Gerber. And this was, a couple of months, maybe a year removed from when he fought David Price or David Haye. And to me, it was like, that chin was dented. There's question marks about that chin straight away when he was in there. That wasn't as bad a knockout as what we saw in this Povetkin fight. So I'm thinking, Dylan Whyte, his chin is going to be... And Dylan Whyte's not got an iron chin. I'd say pound for pound, Dylan Whyte's chin is not as good, even now, as Chisora's. Chisora's, I think, has got a better chin. He's always had a better chin than Dylan Whyte. Getting knocked out by David Haye. I mean, David Haye is a very, very big puncher. You could argue maybe he's even a bigger puncher than Dylan Whyte. So, I think Dylan Whyte, his chin, he's going to have serious doubts in that chin moving forward. If he didn't have them already, I'm sure he had a few doubts in it. He's been knocked out before. He's been hurt before. But a knockout like that, I think Dylan Whyte's going to have serious doubts in his chin. Let's have a look in the chat. Let's see what Big Dan has to say. Whyte Povetkin 2 will be perfect fight for early 2021. Yep, I'm agreeing with you there. I think that's a perfect time to have it. Whyte will be recovered, and it will be a big bang to start 2021. And I've heard neither Whyte nor Povetkin will be mandatory. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking as well. I'm thinking 2021, that is enough time for Dylan Whyte to get over that fight mentally, to recover from that knockout. He is, and as well as that, right, Povetkin he's 41. What is he, 41 next week or something like that? So Povetkin's not getting any younger. So the longer you drag that fight out, the more you have a chance for Dylan Whyte to recover mentally anyway, and physically. And Povetkin's going to get slightly older. In terms of like November, I mean, that's going to favor Povetkin. Dylan Whyte, I'm telling you now, you're not going to recover from a knockout like that just overnight. It ain't going to happen. It says here in a statement from Boxing Social as well, actually, that he said he would give the winner an advantage to push for the WBC mandatory. I'm assuming that means that mandatory would get called some stage next year, because there's no way they're going to call it in February 2021. That's just not going to happen. That mandatory is getting pushed back. And if Dylan Whyte does win that fight, I'm telling you now, man. I'm telling you now, Big Dan, a big boy. Shout out to him. Shout out to Big Boy. I'm telling you now, whoever wins that fight, be it Povetkin or Dylan Whyte, neither of them are going to get any favors from the WBC, because Povetkin's been banned by the WBC before for drug tests. I think Dylan Whyte going down the legal road with the WBC, all the shit he's been saying about the WBC in the last few months, that ain't going to do him any favors. So whoever wins that rematch, their mandatory shot, they're not going to get any favors from the WBC. No way. No way. Dylan Whyte needs to learn not to trade inside with guys like Povetkin who are quicker. Oh, mate. And you see, that's one thing about Dylan Whyte I don't think he can fix. Dylan Whyte, I've said this before, he's not as athletic as Anthony Joshua. I don't think he has the discipline to box for 12 rounds safe. I don't think he can. I think Dylan Whyte is such a fiery character. The minute he even gets a sniff of a chance, he's just going to go in there all guns blazing and not giving a you-know-what about what's coming back. And that's when he could get caught again. Seriously. Shout out to Owen Callan. What's he saying here? Will Whyte ever get his title shot now, or is he done? I don't know. Like, if he beats Povetkin, he'll get his title shot, but they're going to move that back. Shout out to Mark from Unrivaled Boxing. Shout out, Mark. Shout out to his channel. If you've not gone to his channel, go over there. Big up, bro. Anytime. November 21st. Big Boy says it as well. So, okay, so if Povetkin or Dylan Whyte wins, that's when they're likely to get their mandatory shot. And so, yeah, that basically leaves it open for Undisputed. If we can get Undisputed next year, it would definitely look like we're going to get AJ Fury. Definitely looks like we're getting AJ Fury. So we got to say, February 21 for Whyte Povetkin 2. If so, I think Whyte's going to get sparked again. Oh, that's when. Oh, shit. You're talking about February 21st for Whyte and Povetkin. I thought you meant WBC. Right. Well, if that's November 21st, I think Whyte's getting sparked again. I'm seriously, I don't think he can box safety first. I don't think he can do it. And I think Povetkin is not like an Andy Ruiz. He's not a plotter like Ruiz. He's not someone who's just, I know he's older, but he's not just going to plod around the ring for 12 rounds just chasing air. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that Povetkin, He's been training. He knows that uppercut is his peach. You know, his left hook has always been his great punch, but that uppercut's a peach. Yeah, sorry, I thought you were talking about the mandatory for the WBC. But yeah, November 20. Damn. Sporting Icons got told that by Dylan Whyte. Yeah, Sporting Icons loves Dylan Whyte. Big fan of Dylan Whyte. Jesus, man. I don't think that's enough time. Like, that's less than 3 months if you think about it, because it's 24th of August now. Jesus, man. I don't think, yeah. Big Dan says it there. Less than 3 months. That's just ridiculous. Oh, man. Oh, man. I think that's way too soon. That is way too soon. And Mark, shout out to Mark from Unrivaled. Mate, if me and you would back Dylan Whyte early, because I don't know if you've done that bet or not, but I know I did. If me and you had done Joe Smith Jr. rounds 9 to 12, and then we'd done Povetkin like rounds 1 to 5, man, we would have made some profit. But we picked late round. We were 1 round off with Joe Smith. But by then the bet was already ruined. That was sad. Right now, the mandatory is due by August 22nd. So that's obviously next year. If Whyte wins, it resets again. Oh man, they're gonna make Whyte go through fucking everything to get that title shot. I mean, I'm mad. It's just such an irony, isn't it? And I want to shout out Pretty Boy Fizz because he actually left a comment earlier. 8-point concern pretty early for that fight. Yeah, that 8-point concussed. I'd say he sounded a bit concussed in the interview the next day. I thought you said concerned. Yeah, he sounded a bit concussed the next day, but that's Dylan Whyte for you. Whyte better be careful. Should at least fight in early February. I think would be perfect. Like, to me, that's about right. That's good enough. That's good enough, I think, for him. But you know, Dylan Whyte, he wants to avenge that. He wants to get his mandatory shot. But oh my God, my bro won 5K. I'm fucking hell, man. It was worth a shout because Povetkin was always dangerous. But I genuinely I kind of thought Povetkin was going to win. He'd win it late. And then the closer we got to the fight, like literally fight week, I was starting to think, maybe if Povetkin does win, then it will be early because he's normally quite fresh early. But oh man, I was sick. And I was just thinking, right, because I had it on Paddy Power. If Joe Smith, because I think, if I'd done Joe Smith rounds 9 to 12 and they had that fight on first, the cash out would have been something. That cash out would have been amazing on that fight. Such a shame. Oh man, I was snapping. It resets when the interim is won by 1 year. Damn. Dylan Whyte, man, he is going to have to wait. That was a heavy knockdown as well. I picked Povetkin. Yeah, man, Pretty Boy Fizzle. That's exactly what I'm thinking. That was a heavy knockout. That's going to take some coming back from. You know, give it less than 3 months to get over a knockout like that. And he's probably, like you said, was it him or was it someone else who said? I think it might have been you. It was you, actually, who said he's probably concussed. That's going to take some serious coming back from. You know, I don't think he's 3 months, less than 3 months ain't enough time. I'm not thinking it. What do you think of Whyte's corner? 2 men giving advice seems strange. Xavier Miller doesn't seem like that bad, to be honest with you. He gave some decent advice. I think they had Dave Colwell in there just for that little bit of support. You know, Xavier Miller being like an up-and-coming trainer, just having Dave Colwell there just to give that little bit of support. Bit like what Fury did when he had Freddie Roach in there. Because think of it like this, right? He got Freddie Roach in there as the cut man. Freddie Roach is a guy with Parkinson's. Do you really want him looking after your cuts, holding an end swell, or, you know, if you do get cut, do you really want him at your cuts? Not really. So I think they just got him in there just to give Ben Davison a bit of a helping hand. And, you know, they didn't have him in after that. So who knows? How long are you going to be suspended in the UK coming off a KO? I think, is it 28 days or 6 weeks? Something like that. I think at one stage it was 6 weeks, I think. I think it's 28 days now. Because I think you see some journeymen who've been stopped and they're out pretty quick. They're out like nearly a month later or something like that. Oh, yeah, actually, Big Dan. Good shout. November 21st, the same day as Spence Jr. and Garcia. Great day for boxing if that does. Yeah, that's a good shout, actually, man. If that happens, we are. And there's UFC on that night, isn't there? But that's a good shout. That's, yeah. Jesus, man. If that does happen, then we're gonna we could see 2 upsets on that. Well, I suppose Povetkin winning again wouldn't be an upset, but we could see Povetkin beat Dylan Whyte, and we get to see how Spence looks. We get to see how Spence looks after the car crash. What's AA Boxing got to say? Mark, the British Boxing Board of Control don't have a long timeline. They do fresh medicals. Yeah, they change. Yeah, even Mark says they change. They keep changing it. I think at one stage it was a couple of months. Seriously, I think at one stage, if you were stopped or knocked out, they gave you a couple of months. Might have been 2 months or something like that. But now it's just like, 28 days or something like that is enough. How is it going to affect Dylan Whyte? You see, these are all the questions I'm asking, pretty boy. These are all the questions I'm asking. Because Dylan Whyte, his chin was never quite right after AJ. Because he took all them shots and he just didn't seem. Look who we have in the chat. Big up, Hatman. Big up. Hatman Boxing Life. Big up. Shout out to Hatman. Man, seeing you in the chat, that's crazy. But yeah, I think that this rematch, if it happens in November 2021, way too soon for Dylan Whyte. I don't think his chin's going to be right. I don't think his mental state's going to be right, because you're talking about, as I said, you're talking about Dylan Whyte going in there against the guy who's knocked you out with one punch. And you know in your head that can happen again. Dylan Whyte, I don't think he has the discipline to box safety first. I don't think he can. I think Dylan Whyte can go into a room full of mirrors, start a fight with himself. He's that kind of character that the minute he gets even a sniff of an opportunity to go in there and exchange with Povetkin, he'll do it. He needs to be pulled back. He needs someone like Xavier Miller was saying it early on. Don't exchange with this guy. Don't exchange. I don't think Dylan Whyte can do. I don't think Dylan Whyte, it's in him. I think it's just in him to exchange with someone like Povetkin. I think he will. And I think that's when he could end up getting caught. And at the end of the day, he was caught with a massive uppercut. I don't even think Povetkin will need to land with full power to be able to hurt Dylan Whyte in this rematch. I seriously don't. I think that Dylan Whyte's punch resistance is going to go even further down. It's like I said with Chisora. Chisora still has a decent chin, but his chin was dented by David Haye to the point where he was getting hurt by guys like Edmund Gerber. I think that's how you pronounce the guy's name. Chisora still has a good chin. Chisora still has a very good chin. But you know as well as I do, Dylan Whyte, he's been knocked out twice badly by uppercuts. That's going to play on his mind. I'm not seeing Dylan Whyte having a chin after that. No way. Too much dog, you reckon, G? Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what I'm thinking. Like AJ, as I said, AJ and Ruiz, it's different. Like Ruiz is a slow, plodding fighter. AJ, big, tall, and once he got that weight off, he was able to move around the ring. This is completely different. This is Povetkin, who, yeah, he might be old. His feet aren't slow. He doesn't plod around the ring. He's got a good jab. They're not, like, look at the height difference. There wasn't a massive height difference between the two guys. So Povetkin, short arms, compact, decent jab in his own right, shorter jab. I don't think Dylan Whyte's going to be able to do it. I really don't. I don't think Dylan Whyte is going to be able to box Povetkin safety first. He might be able to get away with it for a few rounds. He might be. But the red mist will descend. Like, look at Dylan Whyte. Look at just his track history. The red mist descends on that man, and he just goes in. And I think something similar will happen. I'd be very surprised if he was able to box 12 rounds safety first. Seriously, I don't know. Don't know what he do. Where does Dylan Whyte go if he gets knocked out again? Oh, mate. Your guess is as good as mine. He might be finished. That might even be the end of Dylan Whyte if he gets knocked out again. At the end of the day, think of it like this. Imagine this. Dylan Whyte, if he loses the rematch against Povetkin, that might be the end of Dylan Whyte. But think of it like he could retire. This is just how incredible he's been doing the last few years. He could retire after this rematch if he loses. Never got a world title fight, and still have made more money than world champions in other divisions. He's made some serious money in the last few years. He could still retire if he loses to Povetkin again with more money than most world champions have ever made. Bigger purses than most champions ever made. Rematch Parker. I've always said, even before the Povetkin fight, I would have picked Parker to win the rematch. And like I've said it, I was not going to play the videos here, but I've done so many videos on Dylan Whyte where he was going in on Ruiz, where he was going in on Joseph Parker, he was talking about this, that, and the other, when he was suing the WBC or going legal action. And I said, you can go back and watch those videos. I said, look, Dylan Whyte, does he deserve a title shot at this stage? He does indeed. But I've always said it, and it was proven right. I thought he'd lose before he got that title shot. I was saying it in those videos back then during the summer, back as far back as March. I was like, I think Dylan Whyte, before that title shot is even announced, I think he'll lose. I think he'll take a fight, someone will get him, and he'll lose. And I was thinking maybe Parker if he rematches him, or someone like that if he ever fought Ruiz. I didn't think, to be honest, I didn't think Povetkin originally when they announced the fight, but yeah. What do you think? Should Whyte stick with his training team, stick with the same crew? Man, I think he should stick. I think Xavier Miller is not that bad. I think Xavier Miller is okay. Keep Dave Colwell in there. But if he only got Dave Colwell in for like the last part of camp, get him in for the full camp. Get him in for the full camp. Drum it into Dylan Whyte, just a box safe, because we've seen Xavier Miller early on saying, don't exchange with this guy, don't exchange. That's just going to be the hardest part, though. Like, can you get Dylan Whyte into that frame of mind? Like AJ, we knew he could do that. We knew he could box that because we've seen it. We've seen spots of it against Povetkin, and we know Ruiz is a plotter. He's not got quick feet. But again, this isn't Ruiz. Yeah, Povetkin can be outboxed. We've seen AJ do it in parts. When he was using the jab and he was going to Povetkin's body. But I just Dylan Whyte is just not like that. So I think you should stick with the team he has. But will they be able to see? It's really Dylan Whyte's discipline. I just think there's too much dog in him. I think there's too much dog in Dylan Whyte. And the minute the red mist descends in that fight, he's just going to go for it. He's just going to go for Povetkin. And Povetkin's dangerous. He's just so dangerous. Look at that uppercut he landed on Joshua and how sneaky he was with it. Povetkin trains with that uppercut. He trains to throw them shots. Man, even a grazing uppercut, I think, on Dylan Whyte's chin, he could have him in some problems. So, as a few of the guys in the chat said, Hatman, if this fight was happening next year and maybe Dylan Whyte had a little, 10-rounder against someone small, maybe, like, you're not going to get many pressure fighters in the heavyweight division as skilled as Povetkin even now. But even if he had a 10-rounder just to get his confidence back up, just so he knew he could do it, then, happy days, plenty of time. But going in there, less than 3 months after a guy who knocked you out, after it's a heavy knockdown. And I think, like, I have a video coming out tomorrow on this, and I said it in this video. I said, it's not like you've been battered from pillar to post against someone, and you knew, okay, I could take this guy's shots, but, he wore me down. He hit me enough times. He stopped me. It's not like that. You're going in there with a guy who with one punch, he can knock you out. Literally, with one punch, knock you out. And that's just, I don't know how Dylan Whyte's going to cope with that mentally. And Pretty Boy here says, Whyte versus Hunter, who do you think? Who do you have? Right, I'm saying this now. Even before Saturday, I would have picked Michael Hunter to win that fight. Even before Saturday, I always thought Michael Hunter would have to beat the Dylan Whyte. I think he's too quick. I think he's got good boxing skills. Michael Hunter, although he's not a devastating puncher at heavyweight, I mean, ask Povetkin. I'm sure Povetkin will tell you Michael Hunter hits hard. But Cody will tell you that he hits hard. Michael Hunter can punch as well. He might not be a devastating puncher at heavyweight, but look at, people put Usyk and say he could beat Anthony Joshua. People have said that he can beat this guy, he can beat that guy. Is Usyk's not a devastating puncher, but yet no one's questioning, can Usyk beat some of these guys? And I think if anything, Michael Hunter probably hits harder than Usyk, truth be told. I've never been hit by him, thank God. But I would have picked Michael Hunter to beat Dylan Whyte, probably on points. I wouldn't have picked him to stop him. But yeah, I think Michael Hunter, even before Povetkin, I think Michael Hunter would have beat Dylan Whyte. I think Michael Hunter, Eddie Hearn keeps guys like Dave Allen, but yeah, he doesn't keep guys like Michael Hunter. I know Dave Allen sells tickets and all that, and he's got a cult following, but I mean, put it like this. If you put the two of them in the ring together, how long would you give Dave Allen before he ends up getting stopped? Not long. Yeah, Whyte already promising. Yeah, you see, I seen that video as well, actually, even a couple of days after getting sparked. Yeah, that's like literally when Joshua got knocked out by Ruiz, I was like, yeah, he'll probably win the rematch. He'll just box him. He'll just won't engage with him. He'll just box safety first. Dylan Whyte already saying, yeah, he'll get going in the rematch. And you know what, right? I think people like Johnny Nelson saying, Povetkin just got lucky. Having guys like that, and Johnny Nelson comes out with some crazy stuff. But if Dylan Whyte listens to that and starts thinking, yeah, Povetkin did just get lucky, then he's lost. He's in trouble. He's lost before he's even started. Yeah. Exactly. I think you're right. I think just judging by what I've seen, I think that Hunter hits harder than Usyk. And people don't question Usyk a heavyweight. Well, some of them do, definitely after Shez Witherspoon. I didn't think he was that bad against Witherspoon, but people act like Usyk is top five, this, that, and the other. That's what people keep saying. And Usyk, yeah, I think he can do a lot of problems at heavyweight. I'd probably pick him over guys like probably pick him over Deontay Wilder. I would, but no one questions that. But yet they look at Michael Hunter and they just think, well, he's a bit soft. He's not knocking these guys out. They thought he should have knocked Povetkin out, and I was like, why? Based off of what? Like Povetkin's been knocked out by two guys. Well, he's only been knocked out by Joshua actually, but he's been down against Klitschko. Two very big punchers, two massive guys, massive heavyweights. Since when does Michael Hunter not being able to stop Povetkin have any reflection on how bad he is as a fighter? Look at the good he did in that fight. Man, he did things in there that I'm sure that AJ couldn't do. The way he started so quick, man. And I thought he was unlucky. He was really unlucky not to get that decision. Really unlucky. I think Hearn would have dropped Hunter if it wasn't. You don't think he would have dropped if it wasn't for COVID? It's hard to say, man. It's hard to say. I know boxing promoters with all this, what we have going on, they're being a bit more circumspect about, fights they put on and who they have fighting. But yeah, it's a loss though. That's a loss for Eddie Hearn because Michael Hunter, man, he's a good shout. And here's the thing: if Michael Hunter decided tomorrow to jump back down to cruiserweight, I'm telling you now, he is a serious problem for some of those cruiserweights. And I think he could still do cruiserweight. He's a serious problem. Bacoli versus Whyte. No, I'd give it to Bacoli. No, sorry, Dylan Whyte, not Bacoli. That trainer at Bacoli's, man, he's obviously trying to hype up Martin Bacoli, but that guy really, he hasn't got Martin Bacoli's best interests. That trainer, is it Billy Nelson, the guy's name is? Did you ever see the Michael Hunter Martin Bacoli fight? Martin Bacoli, his shoulder was all over the place. He was getting battered. He wanted to stop. Like, seriously, you keep sending the guy out when he's clearly not going to win the fight. He's one-handed. And you just keep sending the guy out. Martin Bacoli, that guy doesn't have his best interest at heart. He needs to get rid of that guy. Seriously. Billy Nelson, he is an idiot. And I'll never forget that fight. It was like the guy needed to be pulled out. I don't know why he didn't pull the guy out of the fight. And yet Billy Nelson, the 10th round is when they finally decided to stop it. It's like he didn't need that beating. The guy was one-armed. Usyk Fury, if they fought, interesting fight. Oh, man. That's a tough one. Usyk will cause Fury hell. Usyk will cause Fury hell. I probably would just favor Fury slightly, probably on points, but the movement of Usyk, he'd be getting under a lot of Fury shots. Man, he could cause Fury some hell. I'd confidently pick Usyk over Wilder. Yeah, and even that's even before Wilder got beat by Fury. I think that if movement from a guy like Artur Szpilka can cause Wilder problems, Artur Szpilka is like, oh mate, to say it's even an insult to say he's like a poor man's Usyk. That's an insult. Like he's not even on the same level. If he's causing you trouble with movement, then Usyk is going to have Usyk will have a field day. Who else do we have? Hunter is in the draw, never will be. That's a bit harsh. I don't know necessarily if he never will be, but that's why it's not lost losing him. It's all about money. I don't know necessarily about that. Like, I mean, if you put Michael Hunter in there against one of these top heavyweights, and Michael Hunter gets the win, I can see him getting some fans behind him. And I think Michael Hunter's a likable guy. He comes across as a likable guy. His dad was a great fighter as well. I think that if you put him in there against someone like Dylan Whyte and he beat Dylan Whyte, he could get some fans. He could definitely get some fans. So I don't know about that if he's not necessarily a draw. I just think that Eddie Hearn looks at guys like Dave Allen and just thinks, I can make more money out of them, even though they're nowhere near as good. I can make more money out of them than I can out of Michael Hunter. At least I think he's probably looking at it from the short term rather than the long term. So he's probably looking at Michael Hunter and thinking, long term, yeah, maybe I can make some money out of him. But Dave Allen, short term, I can put him in there with some of my up and coming guys. I can get, their names out, guys like Babbage, guys like Bacoli, stuff like that. Do I see Joyce versus Daniel next year? Yeah, definitely. I definitely think that fight's happening next year. Can't see it, man. Can't see it. They need to do that fight with a fan. They need to have some kind of gate in that fight. That's sad because I'd love to see that fight. I'm dying for that fight to happen. I think Daniel Dubois will win, but I'm still looking forward to it. I'm curious to see it, but I'm pissed off now about Daniel Dubois not fighting that. What was that guy's name? Pfeiffer? Was it Eric Pfeiffer or something like that? Every time I hear his name, I just think of Michelle Pfeiffer. But I was looking forward to him fighting that Pfeiffer guy, and now we're getting him. He's fighting the cruiserweight, basically, isn't he? He's fighting the cruiserweight this Saturday, so I don't know. Maybe money had something to do with it. Maybe because look at the guys Frank Warren's putting some of those guys in there with on his shows. Like he put Carl Frampton in there with basically an area level fighter, because he was cheap, and Carl Frampton didn't even look particularly good against that area level fighter. He's fighting this guy Richard Sninders, is that how you pronounce the guy's name, from the Netherlands, 26, coming up from cruiserweight, man. He's coming up from cruiserweight, and he's already lost a cruiserweight as well. Man, it's not going to end well. I don't want to see that. Like, I want to see Daniel Dubois in there with someone with a pulse. I want to see him in there with Joe Joyce. That's why I was looking forward to him fighting this Pfeiffer guy on Saturday. But I don't know. Hunter deserves to be a bigger draw, but simply hasn't been promoted well. Yeah, like taking like short notice jobs, fights here and there. Hunter is a good fighter. I mean, look at some of the guys. He's like, Kuzman is not the greatest heavyweight in the world. He was I never really rated him, but still, like, I mean, he was able to drop him. He was able to beat him. That's what Pricey couldn't do it. Pricey, he ended up calling the quits after 4 rounds against Kuzman. Kuzman versus Bacoli, competitive fight. Don't know who would win that. When they announced Hunter versus Kuzman, I was like, Hunter's going to win that fight comfortably. So Hunter's a good fighter. Like, he is. It's sad. Like, hopefully he can get a deal with a big time promoter. Hopefully he can get over the Top Rank or someone like that, and they can maybe Bob Arum will do it just to spite Eddie Hearn. He would maybe just take Michael Hunter and just try and build him up over there just to spite Eddie Hearn. What's to say? Yeah, he made Kuzman look silly. He did. The minute they announced that fight, I was like, Michael Hunter's winning that fight, because I'd not really been impressed with Sergey Kuzman whenever I seen him, and I'd always been impressed with Michael Hunter, even at cruiserweight. I was like, yeah, he's too fast, and he had Kuzman down. Dave Price couldn't drop him. I know Dave Price was injured in that fight. Do I think Dubois will beat Joshua? Maybe in a few years, but not right now, man. We need to see. The Joyce fight will tell us a lot about Daniel Dubois. That's what I think. I think the Daniel Dubois versus Joe Joyce, we're probably going to get that next year. I just can't see him doing it. I can't see him doing it behind closed doors, or even if they let fans in, which I think they should. I think they should. I think we should just let the fans in. Literally, just let them in. Why not? I think they need a gate. They need a gate. They're going to take a serious loss on that if they don't have a gate, and they're going to need to do it next year. But what can you do? It is what it is. It is what it is, man. Results like Saturday wouldn't be shocking at all if all top contenders just fought each other or didn't take lesser fights to keep their records padded. Such as Fury record is aided by this. Yeah, I think the end of the day, like, heavyweight boxing, though, it is so unpredictable. And like, people were saying, like, owning heavyweight boxing, these type of things can happen in any division. Like, we can see one punch changing things in any division, but I think with heavyweights, it's just so much more dramatic. And like, I love heavyweight boxing. I love heavyweight boxing. I don't fight at heavyweight. Like, if I'm boxing, I'm fighting at middleweight. But for some reason, it's just something about these heavyweights I just love. I just love the excitement. It's like when you get two big heavyweights in the ring, it's just something changes. This is, at one stage, these guys have so much power that they can just switch it on. And shout out the big boys. I seen the knockout. It's not bad. If you're getting stopped by Kevin Johnson at this stage, you must be terrible. But I looked up the guy, because when I heard Johnson won, I was like, I have to look this guy up. The guy hadn't fought since 2014. So I'll make it that what you will. The guy's been out of the ring for 6 years, and he was favored. I mean, that's how much Kevin Johnson slid. You get a guy who's out of the ring for 6 years. He got knocked out pretty badly by Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson was never that big a puncher, even in his prime. Where does Whyte go if he loses? Mate, your guess is as good as mine. Seriously. Your guess is as good as mine where Whyte goes if he loses. I would say he's probably finished. Seriously, he probably is finished if he loses the rematch. And because it's happening so soon, because I don't think that Dylan Whyte will recover from that mentally. And as Hatman said in the chat earlier, this Dylan Whyte's already talked about going for the KO. So if he's going for the KO, that implies he's planning to exchange. No, sir. And I'm telling you now, Dylan Whyte will have a concussion from that shot. His head whacked off the ground as well. Knocked the styrene board out of the way anyway. Dylan Whyte, they say concussions can take, over 3 months to recover from in some cases? I don't see him being right. I think if that fight happens November 21st, then we're seeing repeat. We're seeing repeat. And at the end of the day, if you think of it like this, right? Dylan Whyte, it's in his best interest. I know if he wants a title shot, yeah, it's not. But the longer you leave it, the more time you have to recover. You could even take an interim fight. The older Povetkin's going to get. The older I think he's going to get. So if he leaves that until February next year, we have an older Povetkin, we have a Dylan Whyte who's getting a bit more of a recovery, and there you go. You might have a better chance of winning. But going straight into it and then talk about going for the KO straight off the bat, I don't see that going well, man. I'm picking Povetkin in this rematch straight away, and like this is contradictory to how I was when AJ lost to Ruiz. When AJ lost to Ruiz, I was like, no, he'll win the rematch. He'll outbox Ruiz in the rematch. Ruiz, there's a blueprint how you beat him. We know how to beat Ruiz. He'll outbox him. Dylan Whyte is not AJ. He's not going to box safety first. He's already talked about a KO. There's no way. And with AJ, if he talked about the KO, I don't remember him talking about the KO much going into the Ruiz rematch. With Dylan Whyte, if he's saying he wants the KO Alexander Povetkin, he's serious. He's going to go in and try and do. You just know. So with Dylan Whyte, man, he's just too fiery. Like I said, he's just such a fiery character. You put him in a room full of mirrors, he's starting to row with himself. Seriously, that's the kind of guy he is. That is just the kind of guy he is. Oh, one thing I will say before I read that, Tyson Fury versus Dylan Whyte. I mean, just imagine the press conference if John Fury was there, one trying to wind up the other. Who would crack first? Because I would love to see those two just have a shouting match. It'd be fucking hilarious. The two of them going at it. Big John Fury. Let's go, champ. I'll read your comment in a second. John Fury released a video on Sunday. Mickey Teo didn't accept the challenge. He was in the gym. He was in, Manchester Boxing Club on Sunday, walking around there. No Mickey Teo. He wasn't a happy man. Mickey Teo didn't accept the challenge. So what does that say? Mickey Teo not accepting John Fury. That John Fury Mickey Teo thing is funny as hell. I love the John Fury Mickey Teo thing. It's so funny. But some of the things John Fury's been saying. I mean, if you're Mickey Teo and a guy is telling you, yeah, come to my mate Billy Joe Saunders' backyard and we'll have a battle royal. You really got to do that? You got to go to some stranger's backyard where you don't and not bring any mate. That's. I seen John Fury walking around that gym on Saturday, pissed off there was no Mickey Teo. He is determined. I'll read this now. Let's go, champ. Did the WBC show up themselves at Whyte Povetkin? They said the winner would be mandatory for the WBC. Instead, an immediate rematch clause announced, and the fight was for the WBC Diamond Belt. I know they do that in their rules. So the winner is mandatory. So Povetkin will be mandatory. Dylan Whyte, that's it. If Dylan Whyte didn't take the rematch, they could call the mandatory, but they're not going to call it. The mandatory resets basically, so it's going to reset till some stage next year. So even though even though Povetkin now is mandatory, that mandatory won't get called for probably till summer next year, maybe after that. And then again, if Whyte wins the rematch, it gets reset again. So Dylan Whyte is going to have to go through all these holds again. He's going to have to jump through hoops just to get this fight. Sorry, people. I've been talking for 40 minutes. Need to take a drink. Let's see. If Whyte wants a title fight that bad, he should have fought Pulev, Ortiz, or Brazil. Yeah, he did have a final eliminator against Pulev for the IBF. I think there was a purse bid for that, but ended up going to Hughie Fury. To be honest with you, and this is a sad state of affairs, if Dylan Whyte really, really, truly wants a title fight, Manuel Char, WBA regular title. If times are that tough, maybe just take on Emmanuel Char. He's been regular champion for 3 years, never defended the title once, and he's still champion. Maybe if times are that tough, go for Emmanuel Char. You're like me there. I thought Miller was actually not bad. And I think that if I'm in Dylan Whyte's team, I'm keeping Dave Colwell on. I know Dave Colwell has his own fighters he looks after, but money talks at the end of the day. If you offer Dave Colwell enough and get him in there with the camp, then keep him as well. Because Colwell's an underrated trainer. He can be a bit annoying because he overhyped some of his fighters, like Anthony Fowler. He was nonstop on him. But I take that with a grain of salt because Dave Colwell was a promoter at one stage. You know, he used to have shows on Sky. So Dave Colwell, when he's hyping on about his fighters like Jordan Gill, when he was hyping on about Fowler, I take that with a grain of salt because at the end of the day, he was a promoter as well. I think he still is actually. So he's doing a promotional job, even if he is only a trainer. So I don't begrudge him when he goes on talking, you know what, about his fighters. He is a good trainer. And I noticed Chisora was looking better with Dave Colwell. That certainly than he was with, what was the guy's name? Don Charles. Certainly better. If you had to choose one weight class to have a tournament, what would it be? Right now, if all the fighters would fight in it, heavyweight, if they'd all fight each other in it. But if we're talking, it's like World Boxing Super Series, something like that. If I had to pick a division, lightweight. Yeah, lightweight. You got Haney, Lomachenko, Teofimo, Campbell. I think the top 10 of lightweight is stacked. Like even someone like Yvonne Mendy, who is like kind of fringe world level, he's still top 10. Like he's still good. So probably lightweight. But heavyweight, if they'd all take part in it, heavyweight. But if we're just talking now, being realistic, lightweight. Definitely lightweight. You know, there's some great fighters in lightweight. Seriously good fighters in lightweight. Big dance. I report that Povetkin is now mandatory if he wins the rematch. No, he's already mandatory. So Povetkin will inherit that mandatory. So he's inherited the interim title. But basically, if Whyte wins the rematch, so the mandatory I think is reset now. So originally it was set for February 2021. I think it's reset to December time now. So if Povetkin wins this rematch, I think he gets a shot by probably summer next year. But if Whyte wins, it gets reset again. So that's WBC for you. They love their reset mandatories. I think with the IBF, they're a lot more straightforward. You know, with the IBF and the WBO, if you even have an 8-rounder, so like put it like this: if you are a Povetkin and you just fight some random heavyweight in an 8-rounder, and you're with the IBF, you're mandatory with the IBF, that's still a final eliminator. Even though it's not even a 12, they'll still say that's a final eliminator. Whereas the WBC, I don't think they give a damn if you're in an 8-rounder or anything like that. They'll probably just say, unless you're defending the title on WBC sanctions, we don't really give a shit. Hope we'll see Crawford Spence in our lifetime. Man, I hope so. But I need to see Spence against Garcia. I really do. I need to see Spence against Garcia. Anyway, with 25 people in the chat, smash the like button if you haven't already, people. But I seriously think, I don't know. I just, mate, having seen that car crash, having seen how bad it was, I'm struggling here to believe that Spence is A-okay, that there's not some residual damage there. I'm struggling here. I'm seriously struggling. And against Danny Garcia, if there is, then we'll know. But in terms of Spence Crawford, I mean, do you know what? We might see them. We might see that fight in our lifetime. But in terms of seeing them both at their best, because I think he's not getting any younger. He's been a bit inactive. Spence, obviously the car crash, we don't know how it be. In terms of them in their absolute best, that's gone. I think 2017, 2018 would be when we would have seen the two of them at their peaks. But I think that's been and gone. But will we see it? Possibly. You know, possibly. I think that, put it like this, right? If we see a serious decline in Crawford and Spence is the way he, you know, was pre-car crash, then maybe we'll see it. But I don't know. For the time being, I don't think we will. Yeah, it was that Hernandez dude. Yeah, that was bad. If you were getting knocked out by Kevin Johnson at this stage, in Kevin Johnson's career, you must be terrible. I mean, think of it like this. Fury fought Francesco Pianetta. At the time, Pianetta was coming off a loss over Kevin Johnson. I mean, Kevin Johnson is beyond washed up at this stage. You're getting knocked out by him. You must be absolutely terrible. Kevin Johnson, never even that big a puncher. Not a devastating puncher, yeah. And he's coming back. Kevin Johnson, just on his box rec here, coming back off, 5 losses, 5 back-to-back losses. And he goes in there in Germany against that Juan Polo Hernandez, and he knocks him out in 7 rounds. Amazing. Danny Garcia is a good fighter. He gives any welterweight a decent time. If Spence isn't the same fighter, he could win. Yeah, Danny Garcia, I think Spence will box Danny Garcia. Because Danny Garcia, he's good on the back foot. He's very good on the back foot. His back foot game is very good. But when Danny Garcia has to go looking for you, I don't think his front foot game is as good as his back foot game. He's good counter puncher, Danny Garcia. Very good with the left hook. But I think Spence will fight Garcia basically he'll fight Danny the way he fought Mikey. So the way he fought the previous Garcia, he'll fight this Garcia. I think he'll box him on the back foot. He'll move. And I think he'll win it on points. Danny Garcia at world level is not a massive puncher. He's not. I think Danny Garcia, he likes to tell people he's a big puncher because he's had a couple of, stay busy fights where he's got some good knockouts. But I think for Danny Garcia to be a big puncher, he needs a stationary target. He needs someone who's a bit chinny as well. And yeah, he'll get them left hooks off. He'll get them right hands off. But I think at world level against these top welterweights, Danny Garcia he's not the biggest puncher in the world. He's not. I think Errol Spence, if he's anything left, he should win the fight on points, I think. I don't think he'll stop Danny Garcia. We've never seen Danny Garcia really hurt, really remotely hurt. So, oh yeah. Oh yeah, I still can't believe Jan Pascal. Do you know what, right? I never, ever, ever understood the hype behind Marcus Brown. Seriously. I've seen so many people get up on Marcus Brown and say, when he beat Badu Jack and all, I was like, never seen the hype. I see a fast fighter who's athletic, but very dirty. Like Marcus Brown breaks a lot of rules in there. He breaks a hell of a lot of rules in there. I think he's very dirty. I think he's someone who has questions. I think it's fair to say his chin is not great. I think that's fair to say because he's always looked very weary. Even before he fought Jan Pascal, he was always weary about getting hit. So I think his punch resistance is a bit questionable. When they were talking about him versus Kovalev, I think that was before Kovalev fought Alvarez the first time. When they were talking about Kovalev versus Brown, I was like, Kovalev will knock this guy out. Seriously. Kovalev will knock this guy out. So I didn't think Jan Pascal would beat Marcus Brown, truth be told. I was very surprised there because Pascal looked finished 4 years ago. He looked shot to pieces when he fought Kovalev 4 years ago. And that just shows how good Kovalev was in his prime. Because I thought, he was finished back then, 2016, started 2016. I thought he was finished back then. So for him to come back and beat Badu Jack and to beat Marcus Brown, it shows how good Kovalev was in his prime, to be honest with you. Because Kovalev beat him both times, no real problems. The first fight was competitive enough. The second fight wasn't. The second fight, he just took a beating in there. He just took a terrible beating against Kovalev. Do you think Williams-Andre will happen this year? I hope so, but I don't like it when Frank Warren... It doesn't give me confidence when Frank Warren is talking about Felix Cash versus Liam Williams. That doesn't give me much confidence that we're going to get to see Demetrius-Andre versus Liam Williams. I really don't. I hope so. I really do hope we see it because it's a good fight. Demetrius-Andre, I rate him very highly, but I don't want to see him against guys like Luke Keeler. Like, that's British level. That is literally Demetrius-Andre versus British level. We need to get him in there. When I saw Demetrius-Andre against guys like, even when he was up and coming, against guys like Willie Nelson. If you've ever seen the Willie Nelson fight, go and watch it. It's an absolute schooling. Andre looked brilliant in that fight. And then he just fizzles off. He just fizzles off. He doesn't build on things. I actually enjoy your videos. Boxing Sauce, shout out to you. Thank you for that. And he says, stay safe. Stay safe, man. Thank you. But back to what you were saying, Big Dan. I think Andre needs a bit... he's too content to box. He's too content to box these guys and carry these guys. No, Luke Keeler should never have been in there, in my opinion, against Demetrius Andre. Should have got rid of him. He knocked Luke Keeler down with the first punch of the fight. He should have got rid of him. Seriously, you should have got rid of him early on in that fight. Liam Williams been looking very good. That Atlanta Fox, that was good. You know, that guy dropped Demetrius Andre, went 12 rounds with him, and Liam Williams walked straight through him. Liam Williams been looking mighty impressive. So when Frank Warren's offering, like saying, "Oh, we want Felix Cash next," I mean, Felix Cash is looking okay, but he'll get destroyed by Liam Williams. I don't want to see that fight. Kovalev looked dodgy against Canelo, considering he had a great performance against Yard. Yeah, boy, he was coming. That Yard performance, you know, that was a tough fight. And that was a tough fight against Anthony Yard, and he didn't have much time. Think of it like this, right? Kovalev had even less time after that Anthony Yard fight than Dylan Whyte's going to have, because it's pretty much a year to the day nearly. It's basically a year to the day when Kovalev had the fight with Anthony Yard, and that was early November when he had the fight with Canelo. So he had literally no time to get ready. And at the end of the day, these guys are making weight. So the making weight will kill him. So, like, it's not like the heavyweights don't have to make weight. So even though I think this fight is too soon for Dylan Whyte, he's not having to drain himself. He's not having to boil himself down. Kovalev had to boil himself back down to light heavyweight. Buzzing Canelo made him fight. Yeah, that's it. Literally. 3 months after the Yard fight. That was a tough fight for Kovalev. Boil himself back down to light heavyweight. And I'm pretty sure there was a rehydration clause in there as well. Knowing Canelo. Are there any other Andy Ruizes in the top heavyweight who potentially go straight to the top after a huge upset? In terms of like short heavyweights like that, not really any that I've seen. I was interested in a guy called George Aries a couple of years ago, but he seems to have just faded, you know, and he had loads of energy, that guy, but he just seems to be nowhere now. I don't know what he's doing with himself nowadays. I don't really know. I've not really seen any guys like Andy Ruiz up and coming, you know, that I've known. These heavyweights don't. Well, they don't have to be. He says they don't have to be short. In terms of like up and coming heavyweights who I think could cause an upset, I don't know. You know, realistically, I don't really know. Like, I mean, most guys. He says the American heavyweight is dead talent. I mean, they're not great. The heavyweights up and coming. We need to see a few of them. I need to see a few more of them. But I don't know. Not at the minute. There's no one really that's coming to my mind straight away. At least not in the American scene anyway. That's coming to my mind straight away. But yeah, I don't know. I have to reserve. I have to go back to you on that one. I see another question in there. Oh yeah, he's right there. Hunter is criminally underrated. I mean, yeah. Michael Hunter, as far as I'm concerned, he is just. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact he's coming up from cruiserweight. I don't know. But Michael Hunter, hell of a fighter. It amazes me. It's a serious. It amazes me that there are fighters like Dave Allen, who Eddie Hearn still works with and gets, you know, promotional deals with what's the company, MTK, and Michael Hunter, they're letting him, you know, go. Michael Hunter, someone who is he's more talented in one hand than Dave Allen has in his whole body. And Michael Hunter isn't someone who just chucks away. What Dave Allen, like, literally, he takes short notice fights, takes beatings, and then balloons in weight. And then it's the same old thing again. Oh, I've changed. I'm training hard this time. It's like a broken record. It's the same shit, different day. Are there any fighters from the past you enjoy? What? Loads of fighters, mate. Loads of them. I loved watching Mike Tyson, McClellan. I love McClellan. Probably my favorite middleweight of all time, McClellan. So many. Like, there's just so many. I loved Holyfield as well. Holyfield, Foreman. You know, there's so many fighters out there that I love watching in the past. It just doesn't need. I can't even probably name them all. How many I love watching in the past. Nigel Benn, love them all. Hunter beats Ruiz. Apparently, he was giving Ruiz the business in sparring for the AJ camp, the rematch. So they say. I don't know. I might even. Would I favor Michael Hunter against Ruiz? I think I might, actually. Do you know that? I'd need to see how Ruiz looks against under Adrian Reynoso, but I think I might even favor him. Seriously, I might even favor Michael Hunter to beat Ruiz. I'd pick Michael Hunter, even before last Saturday, I would have picked him to beat Dylan Whyte. I would have. I think from a style point of view, I think Michael Hunter would beat Dylan Whyte. But Ruiz, I wouldn't be as confident, put it like that. What I learned Saturday, right, never write someone off because of their age. Definitely. Definitely not. Definitely not. And do you know what, right? I just think to myself, this is clearly not the Povetkin of 4 or 5 years ago. This isn't the Povetkin who fought Takam, not the Povetkin who fought Mike Perez. If we had that Povetkin, shit, what would he have done? That was a sharper Povetkin too. The other night showed how good exactly. I thought Michael Hunter won the fight. I did. I honestly thought Michael Hunter won the fight. I watched it twice. I thought Ruiz was. I saw Ruiz. I saw Ruiz in the chat there. Yeah, no, I thought Michael Hunter won the fight. For me, anyway, Hunter won that fight, but he just didn't get the decision. He didn't get the decision. You see, I was watching that fight the other night, and I was watching actually the Michael Hunter fight back a few weeks ago, and I'm so weird when it comes to boxing gloves. I'm always wondering why Povetkin, when he's not in the UK, he wears Everlast MX, but yet when he's in the UK, he wears Rival. That's just one of the things I was wondering. I just love looking at fighters' gloves. I love boxing gloves, if anyone can't tell. I've reviewed enough of them on this channel. Ruiz is the only heavyweight who's capable of exchanging with Povetkin on the inside. Yeah, so I think, yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with you on that. Can't really think of any other heavyweights I would. Oh, no. People. You want to be left alone. Did you get home safely to your wife and kids? That's the most important thing, Tony Bellew. Did you get home safely to your wife and kids? That's the most important thing, you know. And are you coming back? Do you want that Ruiz? Do you want to fight Ruiz? Do you fancy it? He just wants to be left alone, people. Hashtag say a prayer for Tony. As I say, I think that Whyte's punch resistance was not as much after the Joshua fight. I think there's a potentially could be. Yeah, seriously, I think you're right in what you say there. I don't think Dylan Whyte's punch resistance was the same. I really don't. After the AJ fight, and a knockout like this, it's gonna damage it even more. It's gonna damage it even more. I look at, and think of it like, we all know Amir Khan was chinny, right? We all knew that. But let's think of it like this. Amir Khan took good shots off Marcus Maidana. Seriously, he did. Look at that 10th round against Maidana. He didn't go down against Marcus Maidana. Then he took those shots against Danny Garcia. His chin went backwards. He got brutally knocked out against Canelo, and his chin is pretty much fucked at this stage. It's fair to just call it like that. It's fucked. It's fair to say now. He's got no chin now. So I can see it when fighters take certain shots, their chins ain't right. Had to sell one of his. Oh man, like I said, hashtag say a prayer for Bellew. Pray for Bellew. Yeah. Poor Tony. And if you were, just think like this: you never commentated on the AJ Ruiz fight. You really would have had a hard time on the first fight. Imagine AJ losing and you commentating. That would have been a sad sight. Man, I think I was on to Dell, Blue Collar Sport TV. Shout out to him. And I was saying, Matthew Macklin, if Dylan Whyte had got up in that 5th round, he would have still scored the round 10-9 to Dylan Whyte. That's the Sky commentary team in a nutshell. They are the most biased commentary team I've ever seen. I know some people say BT are bad. Yeah, they are. They're bad, but they're nowhere near as bad as Sky. Yeah, good question. Thoughts on Robert Helenius? You think he can beat the likes of Whyte? No, I don't. I don't think he beats any of them. I couldn't believe it. I never rated Adam Kalnacki. I've seen him plenty of times, Kalnacki, and I never was too keen on the guy. I thought he's okay, but he's defensively he wasn't great. You know, to me he just wasn't great. Right, he just wasn't great. And I always thought someone will beat him before he gets to a heavyweight title. But I didn't think Helenius. I mean, I'd seen Helenius get starched by Gerald Washington. Gerald Washington. And bloody Kalnacki took care of him in 2 rounds. I seen him get starched by Johan Duba years ago. Man, Helenius, at that stage, I was like, nah, he's shot. And I still think he's shot. I think, yeah, he can punch. But like, you think like, Kalnacki left his chin wide up in the air. Helenius has so many flaws. But I'll tell you one flaw he doesn't have. He can punch. That's one thing about Helenius, I'll tell you. For all his flaws, and Helenius has many many flaws, loads of them. Punching power ain't one of them. Punching power ain't one of them. And if you just want to leave your chin out in the air and let Hellenius have some shots at it, then more fool you. Unless your name is Marius Whack, I wouldn't advise doing that. I seriously wouldn't advise doing that. Whyte's punch are you sure you mean punch? Whyte's punch resistance will diminish massively. If we're a hard hitting top 30 heavyweight, you'd be pushing for it. Yeah. Seriously. Like, I wouldn't pick Hellenius to beat Dylan Whyte. Well, I think obviously they've already fought, and Robert Hellenius fought defensively. But I think he'd fight maybe a bit more aggressively against Whyte now, knowing what he's got in front of him. But like, I'm thinking Parker at this stage now. I've always felt Parker win the rematch, but more strongly now he'd win the rematch against Whyte. Guys like that, I know. Guys like that, I think if you're a hard hitting heavyweight, I think you'd be looking at Dylan Whyte thinking, I could do that. How does Parker map his path to the top again? I mean, Jesus. Change trainer. Kevin Barry is okay, but I think he needs... do you know what, right? And I'm not being funny. I genuinely wouldn't say no to Teddy Atlas getting in there with Joseph Parker. I think Teddy Atlas might do some good work with Joseph Parker, personally. I think he might get him a bit of spite. Bellew, your thoughts on the first Whyte Povetkin fight was maximum violence. Just waiting for maximum violence part 2. Man, November 21st, too soon. Way too soon. Way, way, way too soon for this fight to happen again. No way Dylan Whyte's going to be right. No way. Parker fights Chisora. Man, I was so looking forward to that fight. I'm still so pissed off that fight didn't happen. But what can you do? You get bit by a spider. You get bit by a spider. Like, seriously. I love that. I love that one. His name is Parker. I know it's kind of stupid, but Roy Jones Jr., in the case of Dylan Whyte, I know added effects with the loss of athleticism and weight loss could have similar things. Yeah. I mean, we knew Roy Jones could be hurt because we've seen him down before. I know Roy Jones looked damn near invincible, I should say. But we had seen Roy Jones get hurt in the past. I mean, that had happened. But when he got knocked out by Tarver, and then he got knocked out by Jones, I mean, I think the Tarver fight really did it. You know, I think that took what was left of Roy Jones, and that was it. He should never... That first Tarver fight, when people say it was a controversial decision, I've watched that fight plenty of times, and every time I watched it, I thought Roy Jones won that fight clearly. I didn't see any controversy in it at all. Seriously, I didn't see anything. I didn't see no controversy in that first Tarver fight. Thought Roy Jones won it. Fair enough, mate. Eddie wants to ring me and tell him you're not very happy with the dates. Yeah. Tell Eddie Hearn that if he's having it in November 2021 or 21st, that I'm open to some media passes, you know, get some interviews going, which is what I was hoping to do if COVID hadn't happened. But if you want to tell him, you know, G-man, by then I could have 3K subs, you know, growing. Hashtag King of Ripped Jeans. There you go. The KO, the freaking KO was solid, well-crafted punch, such as base train. Yeah. Yeah, you know, Povetkin's uppercut was well-timed. You know, I mean, I put it like this, right? I went out yesterday to watch PSG versus Bayern. I went out for some food to the pub with my friends because we have to get food. We have to. It's the way they're doing it now. You can't go to a bar without getting food. We have to do it now. And even though the match was on and all my friends would be casuals, we were all, literally, we could talk about was the fight. And everyone was that. And my mate, one of my friends, he's so funny. Like, he's just one of the, I don't know how to describe him. He's just, when it comes to boxing, he's oblivious. But he was watching the fight and he was like, G-man, literally, I watched that 4th round, saw your man get dropped twice, and I had half a Chinese in the kitchen. So I said, right, this fight will end soon. So I went in, grabbed the Chinese, came back to the sitting room, it was over. I was like, fuck it anyway. I don't even want these duck rolls now. And I was like, yeah, that's heavyweight boxing for you, mate. That is literally heavyweight boxing for you. You can commentate if you want. I'd love to. Adam Smith just got kicked. We all knew that, man. That's like There's not a secret about Adam Smith. We know all that. And we all know he's the guy who was bidding serious amounts of money for Shannon Courtney socks. You know, the eyes never lie. The eyes are the window to the soul. We all know that. We all know that's what Adam Smith. That's why Match Room are putting shows on behind closed doors. Not Adam Smith's blown all their budgets on Shannon Courtney socks. Bellew, stop pointing to the camera out of my face. He wants to disappear. Oh man. I'll answer this one first. I'll answer this one first. Right, pretty boy. I'll come back to you. I'll answer this one first. How often are these streams? Once a week now, moving forward. This is Let's Talk About Boxing episode 6. So once a week moving forward. I actually thought you were asking me how often do I use streams. Actually, I read that too quick. Once a week moving forward, Jezza. Once a week. I've been doing them once a week, and I'm carrying it on. I'm enjoying these, man. I'm enjoying them. What on earth's going on with Canelo? Mate, he's fighting Yildirim, but there's talk of that fight being on Showtime. Apparently, the Zone don't want that fight because it's not competitive, which it isn't. It's not a competitive fight. It's a shit fight. It's an absolutely fucking shit fight. I don't want to see it. No one wants to see it. I mean, we've seen Yildirim get starched by Eubank Jr. I mean, Canelo was on a different league. And Canelo hits a lot harder than Eubank Jr. I don't want to see it. It's a knockover job. You know, it doesn't bear thinking about. It's a knockover job. So I seen Yildirim's manager said that they're going to try and get they're going to try and get Al Heyman to get into a purse bid and put the fight on Showtime. That looks likely what's going to happen. Like, the Zone don't want it. There's a bit of animosity between Canelo and the Zone, I think, but I don't want to see it personally. I mean, I think it's a shit fight. I mean, no, I wouldn't actually. I was going to say I'd nearly rather see him fight Jay Quigley, but I wouldn't, because Jay Quigley get beaten anyway as well. I don't want to see either of them. See the State of Fisheye show on Saturday. Man, they've all been rubbish. Every flipping one of them. They've all been rubbish. All Fisheye shows since boxing's come back have been rubbish. They're all, and you know what? This one show, when they had, Eric Pfeiffer was the guy's original name. That was a fight I was thinking, do you know what? Might be good. Might be okay. Might enjoy that fight. Might get to see, something good. And then, boom. They're like, oh, yeah, he's failed a medical or something like that. And then even Pfeiffer is saying, no, we haven't. So now we're stuck with this. We're stuck with this fucking cruiserweight. Thoughts on Taylor? Shout out to G-Man. I was actually clicking on a different one, but shout out to Visual Takes. Always a pleasure to have you in the chat, man. We got actually good chat going. We got 35 people in the chat. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Appreciate all the support, people. Been enjoying this. It's not often I get plus 30 in the chat. Some people, right? Before I get onto it, it's like 70 subs I got over the week. It's like March. It's like February, March again. The channel is coming back to where it was pre-lockdown. Because pre-lockdown, I was growing like, seriously, 150 subs a month. And once boxing stopped, that kind of stopped for everyone. We're coming back to it now. We're getting back to where we were. And the weekend was a success, this is what I meant to click on. Thoughts on Taylor. I can't pronounce the guy's name. I think Taylor will win. I'm happy that we're getting to see it. I was upset. Like, I wanted to see Josh Taylor more because I really, really enjoy watching Josh Taylor fight. Oh, man. G-Man's rocks. Yes, hashtag G-Man's rocks. There's no space in between it, bro. There's no space in between it. He's hashtagging G-Man's rocks. When me and Mark were talking about hashtag G-Man's rocks, that was about a girl, and that's gone tits up now. So there's no G-Man's rocks. There's no G-Man's rocks now. That's gone tits up. That's gone tits up. But Josh Taylor, I think he'll win that fight. But I'm just happy to see Josh Taylor. I want to see Josh Taylor versus Ramirez. That's a good fight. That is I mean, think about it like this, people. Can you imagine that at one stage? Like, I'm telling you now, and I've no shame admitting this, I was wrong. I picked O'Hara Davis to beat Josh Taylor. I don't care. Come at me. I admit it. I thought Davis would beat Josh Taylor. I seriously did. And I thought Taylor was good, but I thought that's how high I was on Davis at the time. Joyce Dubois predictions. I'm going with Dubois. Confidently going with Dubois. I do. I think he'll win. I think it's his time. I think he'll win. Looking forward to Prograis versus Hooker. Hopefully they'll do that fight. They're both going to Al Heyman. Well, I think Prograis, they said, has signed a one fight deal with Heyman. So it'll be interesting to see what he does after that. But I think Hooker's gone to Heyman. Yeah, I was looking forward to that too. Maurice Hooker, he was really, I mean, that was a bad fight against, what was the guy's name? What was the guy's name? Ramirez. He took a beating in that fight. That wasn't good. He took a beating in that fight. It wasn't competitive. So I don't know. We'll see how Hooker looks moving forward. But I think Prograis is good. I want to see a rematch with him and Taylor. That for me, between that and the New Way versus Donaire, they were fights of the year last year. They were both seriously good fights. Oh man, yeah, Chelly Cullen, that was bullshit. I don't know where, I mean, a draw, no, wasn't a draw, but I don't know how one judge could give it to Cullen. I mean, I gave him 2 rounds in that fight. And this is the thing, is Sky Commentary, they're so flipping biased, right? Because Jack Cullen has obviously been fighting on their shows for a while. They were talking about Cullen's law. They were like, oh, he's only lost 2 fights. He's lost 2, Felix Cash, he was game, and he lost in a prize fighter tournament. Nothing to read into it. Have you ever watched that fight he lost in the prize fighter tournament? I have. He got obliterated in a round. By Roy Sheehan. Roy Sheehan he only turned pro the month before, and he's a 35-year-old builder, and he obliterated Jack Cullen in a round. So when they say don't read anything into it, yeah, I read something into it. Believe you me, I read a lot into that loss. He got obliterated by Roy Sheehan. Roy Sheehan, as I said, he was a good amateur, but he's nearly 40. He's nearly 40. 35 and growing. Thoughts on Povetkin fight in September? I hadn't even heard about Povetkin fighting in September. I'm always happy to see him fight. Who is he fighting? Because I've been on this chat most of the evening. So if Povetkin is fighting, please let me know. Please let me know who he's fighting. Please let me know. But yeah, 35 and counting. Yes, not often I hit in the 30s. But the channel, man, this channel is shot to life over the weekend. Man, I started on Saturday morning. I think I had 2,050 something subscribers. So just 2,000 and then 50 something. I've got something like what? 2,120 now. So it's like 70 subs in a couple of days. It's crazy. Crazy. No, I don't think he is. I think he's got a different. I think he's got a very small time promoter now. Like that, I thought that as well. Like that, I was surprised when they announced Chelly versus Cullen, because I like that as well. I thought he was still with Warren. So because his last fight was with Warren. Like that, I thought that as well, but apparently not. Apparently he's with some other promoter now, and obviously he was fighting Jack Cullen. Jack Cullen is still a matchroom fighter. He's the home fighter. So even though Chelly won, he won the fight. It's hard to get a decision. And I wonder as well, because if you look at Katie Taylor, who fought on that card as well, I thought she lost the fight. All right, I did. But they're all British judges. I think that we can't get, as far as I'm concerned, we can't get neutral judges on these cards, because they're not going to fly in people to quarantine for 2 weeks. So I think a lot of these guys are going to be neutral judges. They're all going to be British judges on some of these cards. So probably not likely we're going to get to see many fair decisions for the time being anyway. What's next? Josh Warrington. They're probably going to put him in there against that. Oh, what's the guy's name? Yang Xiu or something like that, the WBA guy. Put him in there with him next. Emmanuel Navarrete is moving up to 126. I can see him being avoided. That's one of the reasons why I'm like, they were saying Mike Conlon's moving down. I think at one stage, Michael Conlon might have been in there against, what's the guy's name? Michael Conlon might have been in there against Navarrete if he stayed at 126. Navarrete is a problem for anyone. And Conlon is one of the most boring fighters in boxing right now. I mean, I cannot bring, I want to cover his fights, but I can't bring myself to sit through a full Mike Conlon fight. He's so boring. It's just, oh man. Your boy Dylan got KO'd. What's that you were saying, Whyte better than Deontay Wilder? Yeah, well, he got KO'd all right. I always thought Deontay Wilder would, and I thought it before, and I still think it. Deontay Wilder would have always beaten Dylan Whyte. Always beaten Dylan Whyte. Most boring fighter is Tennad Gashi. Well, to be fair, when he fought Takam, he actually came. He actually brought it a bit against Takam, to be fair. But Conlon, what, 4 fights now? 4 fights I've watched the Conlon, and I've been like, I will cover this fight. I will do a review, and I'm into the fight, and I'm just like, I can't. Like, I can't sit through it. It's just the same thing. He is going to get wiped out the minute he steps up. And like Michael Conlon, I think his dad's from Dublin and he's born in Belfast. I'm not biased. I don't want to be biased, but I like seeing Irish fighters. That he is going to get wiped out the minute he steps up. Seriously, I'm saying that now. The minute Michael Conlon goes anywhere near world level, he is going to get wiped out. That's what I'm thinking about Mike Conlon. People, we're nearly at 11:30 now. I wanted to keep this stream kind of in around the 50-minute mark, but I'm going to call it here. People, what a stream we've had. This has been fun. I've enjoyed this live stream. It's been a major successful one. Like I said, it shows the channel is kind of coming back to where it was pre-lockdown. We got over 30 in the chat. We still have 28 in the chat. So smash the like button if you haven't already. People, I'm going to call this live stream here. Apologies to anybody if I didn't get to your chats or anything like that. But I'm calling the quits here, okay? And I'm seeing people in the chat saying bye. Yeah, and someone, Jezza, says he's new here, by the way, and he loved it. Man, I appreciate that. I'm happy you're enjoying the channel. Like I said, I do these live streams once a week. So this is episode 6 of Let's Talk About Boxing. Episode 7 next week some stage. I don't always do them on a Monday, but I do them during the week. It's like a midweek treat. So hope you enjoy it, people. Bye, G-Man. Yeah, shout out, bro. Thank you. I hope you all enjoy the people. Oh, before I go, thank you, mate. Thank you. Salute from America. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. I always love seeing that, man. I love seeing that. That'll get me like that literally will actually pay for a pint of Guinness. So you've literally just got me a pint of Guinness. So shout out, bro. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And saying, man, top man, Fizz. Man, you've been fun tonight. You've been on form. You've been giving me some good questions tonight. So I appreciate that. I'll answer that. Am I from the Northern Republic? It's all one. It's all one, man. And your question, I'm from Dublin. I'm from the best part of Ireland, the only county that's normal, because the rest of them are all a little bit out there. Seriously, if you've ever been to some of the counties in Ireland, they're a little bit out there. I mean, I'll put it like this. I work with people from different counties, and the culture is just, mate, it's fucked. I mean, they literally, the stuff that me and some of my mates be talking about, they just are like, it's like alien to them. So I'm from the normal part. Belfast isn't too bad. Belfast is all right. I used to go out with a girl from Belfast. She was just hard to understand because Belfast accent is like really strong, And I used to go out with a girl from Belfast. She was just so hard to understand. Like, we didn't go out for long. It's the end of last year, but fuck, man, she was hard to understand. Really bad. So I will leave it there. My man Bola Fit. Okay, I've seen a load of people on my channel. I've seen a load on my channel coming out with some weird stuff. So I don't know if that's one of them or not. They eat sheep in Dublin. I've never ate sheep personally, man. I don't know if they do. Maybe in some parts, maybe in Crumlin or places like that they do. But certainly where I'm from, they don't eat sheep. Dublin, Ireland. Okay. Dublin, Ireland. Well, people, I said I'm going to end it here. Again, shout out to you, mate. Shout out for the super chat. I'm going to call it quits here, people. Man, it's been fun tonight. Let's talk about boxing. And by the way, for anyone, if you're new to the channel, these streams stay on the channel. So you can if you want, if you've joined the chat later or anything like that, this stays in the channel. You can listen to it back, and you can skip ahead. You can do whatever. I just leave them up as standalones. So you're more than welcome to listen to it back. People, I'm going to call it quits here. It's been a pleasure. I'll see. I have videos coming tomorrow anyway, so you'll see me tomorrow. So shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to Hatman if you're still in the chat, by the way. And yeah, I will talk to you. We don't eat sheep in sorry, I should say talk to you, but we don't eat sheep in What part of Dublin are you from? Before we end it here, what part of Dublin are you from? Bola Fitness. Because just the way you were looking there, I've seen a load of bots commenting on my videos lately. What part of Dublin are you from? before we end it here. Tala. Okay. He's from Tala. Well, I am not from Tala. That's from the south side. I'm from the north side. I'm from Swords. So that I just was curious what part of Dublin you were from. So we will call it here, people. Shout out to Bowl of Fitness from Tala. You know, it's not his fault. Shout out. I'll talk to these people. I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace out.